Now that we have our data in sync using the Firebase API by Google, I figure why not go the extra yard and add some more functionality. So we have now the capability to control one or multiple devices from another device. So to set this up, go into your settings cog, and if it's not obvious already, you do need to be logged in under the same account. And you'll see when you're logged in, and only when you're logged in, you'll see this little area that says control mode. So in Chrome, I'm going to set Chrome to control, and then I'm going to set over here Safari to be slave, and let's look at how this functions when we're in the real world. So you see now Safari set is slave. You can click through it and it will function similarly or identically to default mode, but watch how the control responds. So you'll see that the track begins to play, and on the slave device, the same as default, you'll see that there's the flashing accent lights up in the navigation bar, but not in the control. That's because the control device now is not outputting any sound. It's merely reflecting what is happening in the slave as the slave is changed. Now, likewise, if we play something, we can use the control to play, even though it's not outputting sound, but it's controlling the playback device. And so even this song, which says that the tracks are missing, it doesn't matter because the sound is outputting from the playback device. Now that our data is all in sync between devices, I thought, why not add a little more functionality here? So we have the ability to control one device from another, or multiple devices from multiple devices. So if we go back into our settings area here, on both devices, or both browsers in my case, if it's not obvious, you need to be logged in with the same information on both devices. So if your data is staying in sync, then you're good to go. Now, this control mode area is only visible when you're logged in to a device. So I'm going to set Chrome to control mode, or control, and in Safari I'll set this to slave, and then let's look at how this affects each device. So now in Safari, which is the slave, if I trigger a song, you hear the clicks start to play, and you'll see that in the navigation bar that the light is flashing with the beat. You'll notice in the control mode, there is no light flashing. Even though the navigation bar dropped down and the play and song highlighted, that's because there is no sound coming out of the control device, only out of the slave device. So this could be handy, say if you had a laptop set up backstage that was plugged into the sound system and had your tracks and stuff loaded on there, but you had, say, like a tablet or a phone that you were using as a control device closer on stage to your microphone or something like that. This would be a great situation for that, where you're controlling something from another. One more thing to note is, since this requires you to be logged in, this does require an internet connection to be able to work. You cannot run this over an ad hoc network. If that's the case and you don't have internet connectivity, you may want to look at some MIDI or Bluetooth MIDI devices instead for controlling things. But this may help you in your situation. So the option is here. So again, on the slave mode, you'll see things reflect in the control screen as the slave plays. But notice here where it says that tracks are missing because they're loaded in Safari. And so they're cached locally on this device or in this browser, but they are not available in this one. But it doesn't matter, since it's just a control screen. It'll trigger the playback or the slave device and you'll still hear the sounds in there. So that is the difference basically of how this runs, the control and slave mode. And there's, you get a little bit of latency, but it's usually within a few milliseconds, so it's not too bad for control. So yeah, hope that helps. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and excited to see how you use this update.